Good morning. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center in Hilton Head. I invite you to go get a cup of coffee or whatever it is while we get settled here, and then we begin our service. Thanks for joining us. I'm Reverend Therese Lee. This is Unity Spiritual Center in Hilton Head. And I don't know what kind of morning you're having. We're having an interesting one here since we decided at about 9 o'clock last night to not have a physical service. And so we will let you know when we will be having another service at Congregation Beth Yam. Right now, we'll be closed on Sundays until April. So stay tuned, watch your emails, look at the website, Facebook, and if in fact you don't do any of those things, please call me so I can call you. My phone number is 816-985-9898. I'm the spiritual leader here and the minister. Again, my name is Therese Lee. And so for those of you who are joining us for the first time as a virtual community, we welcome you. I wasn't sure if I should say welcome because I'm not sure what kind of morning you're having, although I suspect you might be enjoying that you get to stay in your PJs and have your coffee with you. I invite you to create a sanctuary space right where you are, wherever you are, and to breathe as often as you need to, and to know that we are a spiritual community for you, with you, as you, no matter where you are viewing us from today. And what I like to say on Sundays is we are grateful that you're here with us and that we honor the God of your understanding. Because in Unity, we don't tell you what to think or how to think. We give you tools to help you figure out how it is you want to think. So every time you take a moment to go apart, to go within, we know that shift happens. Now be careful how you hear that because the word is shift. And every time we decide to become awake and aware, then what happens is blessings seem to somehow manifest around us. And so I invite you today to go and see how many blessings can you count. And if you'd like to get back to us on the Facebook page or on our website, unityofhiltonhead.org. You can put prayer requests in there as well. Facebook, my email address, everything's plastered everywhere so that we can be back and in touch with you. So we start with gratitude, and I'm grateful for this technology called Facebook Live. And the affirmation, I guess, today about doing church that has absolutely nothing to do with four walls. Nothing to do with four walls. You are the church, I am the church, we are the spiritual community, and we have upwards of, somewhere near around 1,000 people watching us each week. So we're grateful that we're making an impact not only in Beaufort County, but everywhere that this is being viewed. Lots of Unity churches are going online today, so there'll be a plethora of choices. A lot of us are online anyway every week, but there'll be even more choices for you to make as we go forward. Look for all denominations to be doing this as we get wise and aware of how it is that possibly social distancing isn't enough. And so for those of us in this Beaufort County area, we were made aware late yesterday that there were 3 viruses coronavirus confirmed here in Beaufort County. And so we then made the decision, since our congregation is of that age, which is 60 or older, that we would not have physical church. And so stay tuned for the rest of that. But what this morning, and know that it's always a choice that we get to make. So today, this is what Sunday looks like. It's kind of cloudy here on Hilton Head, and it's not raining. So therein lies one huge blessing. We've had a little bit of rain, and we're grateful for that. So we've been doing Facebook Live here at Unity Hilton Head for several years, and yet, for some of you, being online, with or without a computer, means change. So I invite you to possibly call somebody. I learned just this morning that one of my congregants doesn't have access to email. And so now, guess what? Therese is going to put together a call list. And so the more I know, the more I can be of service. And who is it, Maya Angelou, who says, when we know better, we do better. And so we are here to be of service. You have to let us know what that looks like for you. So I invite us today into the space of non-resistance, acceptance, surrender, and hopefully peace. Non-resistance, surrender, acceptance, and peace, if you want it. And so we get to make those choices always and in all ways. You might want to write that down if you have a pen nearby. Let me say it again. Non-resistance, acceptance, surrender, and peace. And I know in my 62 years of living, almost 62 years of living, that the only constant has been change. And Byron Katie says, why fight reality? That's what causes the suffering. So stay tuned for changes that are going to continue to happen that none of us who have control gifts, be honest with yourself, if you have a control gift, that we can't control one thing. And today, this is not something for all y'all to know that we learned in seminary. So being a minister now for 14 years, we didn't learn anything really about technology. And so thank you to Kelly Isola, Reverend Kelly Isola, who had a little bit of a, seminar yesterday that a lot of us were paying attention to and being mindful of. So what's exciting is that we get to be the change we want to see. You can take this video, show it to your family and friends. You can have a watch party. There's many ways of doing things technologically. And so maybe some of the elderly care facilities might put us on the big screen. Those will be some of the calls that I make this week. How can we be of service to those whose facilities do not allow us to visit anymore? I usually have a pass-go, get-in-free card because I'm a minister. And so I will be doing that and reaching out into our local communities. So let's take a moment and close our outer eyes if you're comfortable, and let's have a prayer as we start today's service. First of all, breathe and invite yourself to move from your head to your heart, the longest journey most of us take every day in our lives. And we pray, living, loving presence, thank you for this opportunity to be in community this morning in a new and different way. Thank you for nudging us to grow and expand. Thank you for motivating us to experience non-attachment, surrender, acceptance, and peace. Thank you that we get to be together because of technology and not just because of telepathy. However, for those of us who have these other gifts, let's engage them now and engage others in our own community, in our own state, in the consciousness of one. We are one, and times are now showing, in fact, that there is not much separation. Thank you to the medical profession for every single layer, level of medical people who serve us, because this change is affecting them in a different way than it's affecting each of us. And so we honor the unity that they're bringing as they say yes, put on their mask, put on their gloves, jump in their car and go to work. All the first responders as well, we are grateful. And we affirm blessings of healing and letting go of the negative thoughts and the fasting that we do because this is the season of Lent. Feasting on all that is great and all of that we know to be true. We affirm blessings on all of those who might be having a challenge, whether it be health or a challenge with change. We affirm for you peace, and we allow it to be so. And most importantly for this day, we say thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this day. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And so we bring our attention back to this place, wherever you are. And we know that there are so many choices that I could have talked about today. My talk only changed maybe 17 times yesterday as I kept staying up on the news. But I want to take a moment and check in with each of you. And so I'm going to move in a little bit to the camera. And I also have 4 people here in my sanctuary, our sanctuary called Congregation Beth Yam. And so I'm going to check in with each of you. How are you doing? How are you doing? Please remember to breathe. Please remember to ask yourself, what am I feeling? So say it to yourself. What am I feeling? You might have rolled eyes, you might have expressive face, you might have your hand on your heart. Keep asking the question, what am I feeling? We are in a time where we're not making all the decisions. And so if we don't acknowledge feelings, stuff gets stuffed and then other things happen. So be mindfully aware of what it is that you're feeling and be okay with it in the moment. I invite you to act out by writing down the feelings versus engaging your mad voice so that you can be real with yourself and know that maybe you're just not so happy. Get out of your mind. This is not about thinking. This is about understanding we move from our head to our heart and we get to create the shift. In the holiness that surrounds us, Albert Einstein called it a holy shift. I don't know how he placed the emphasis on which syllable, and that's really doesn't matter. How are you placing your emphasis on this, the shifting that needs to happen so that it can become holy shifts? We do this by moving into our heart space, by being real and understanding. Non-resistance, surrender, acceptance, and peace. So what am I feeling? Name the feelings, write them down, call a friend, email them, post them on Facebook, whatever you want to do. Write them in the sand, and then let the beach come up. We can do that here on Hilton Head. Let the sand and the water take them out into the ocean. And I invite you to keep asking what, and stay away from the word why. Why is this happening? Why am I feeling this way? Can you feel that your shoulders might be going down and your head starts to bob as well? And what it does to us physically, energetically, is bring us down. And so if we ask what, it empowers us and we stand a little bit taller, a little bit broader in our shoulders. And we get to shift into feeling empowered, like I'm going to make a decision on how it is. I'm going to enjoy all of my alone time because I'm an extreme extrovert and I get fed by other people's energy. So this is a big shift for Therese, and I'm dealing with it. And I'm knowing that maybe I'm just going to walk around and my best friends now are going to be the birds or the seagulls at the ocean. I'm not sure yet, because it's going to continue to unfold and manifest as I stay true to who I am. Ask, what empowers me? What empowers me in this now moment that I have a staycation, whether you wanted it or not? Yes? Write it down, share it, get it out of your body so that it doesn't cause further discord. So I can't see all of you with my physical eyes. However, what I know to be true is that consciousness is all everywhere present, comes through the airways, over whatever all this technological stuff is that's on Facebook. And we get to be together right here and right now. Unity has always said there are many paths to the one God. And look at us today, celebrating the oneness that is each of us. And maybe we didn't ask for it, right? But circumstances are not always under our control. And so, y'all, we've been talking about this forever and ever and ever. This is how our co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, did her prayer ministry back in the day. So imagine it's the early 1900s. There's not even phones yet, right? Possibly. How do you pray? So they would pray together, and then because it was Missouri, snow happens there. That's another S word about what happens. So they couldn't all gather. And so the word went out that everybody stay where you are, create a sanctuary place, set your intention to be prayerful and mindful. And that is how unity began. That is how silent unity began. Whether you know who it is that's requesting prayer or not, you and God can come up with those answers. So we could just say, for example, wherever all you are right now, I am going to pray for everybody in my neighborhood, with and for them, for health and wholeness, that they have all the food they need, all the toilet paper they need, yes? Whatever it is. So you can then extend it out into the county that you live in, the city, the state, the country, the world. You might decide, like Italy has, that you'll open your window and sing out into the alleyways. Everybody is singing songs because they are all in mandatory quarantine. We don't have that here yet. And so we can still go around and maybe just sing in the neighborhood. We could have a consciousness caroling instead of Christmas caroling. I'm not sure. Somebody will come up with an idea. So no technology back in the day when Myrtle decided, let's be prayerful and mindful. Let's be prayerful and mindful. So what they were doing was practicing the presence. And that's what I invite you to do today, to practice the presence. And what is the presence? For me, it's God. I'm not sure what you would call it. Sometimes it's calm, it's peace, no music. And I know it always surprises people because I'm a pretty loud person and I write my talks with the TV on or music blaring, and yet when I'm trying to learn or prepare, I need silence. And this is a new awareness for me in my 60th year of wisdom, that I have different ways of preparing the presence that's always with me, always and in all ways. So we get to set up an intention, and then we get to go to gratitude. What are you grateful for today? I was grateful there wasn't a lot of traffic on 278. I'm grateful that my laptop works, that I had internet in my house, which I don't have much of here at CBY, so I can't use my laptop here. But I have it. And therefore, I was able to cut and paste from different sources about exactly what's going on so I can share some information with you as well. I'm really grateful for my drink that I'm going to stop for a moment and go get. Why don't you take a drink? We get to take pauses. That's what life's about. Pausing, breathing. What I'm noticing out of the left corner of my eye, we have a children's playground here, and I thought at first they were just birds fluttering, but they're children playing. How joyous is that to have a service going on here while children are playing? Take a drink. I'm trying not to be too irreverent. So you're on Facebook. If you want to leave us a comment, a prayer request, I will, or someone in our prayer chaplain team will get back to you. Know that we're always reachable. So the one question I've been asked most this week is, where the heck, or they might have used a different word, where is God in all of this? And my answer is the same no matter what the situation is. God is everywhere present, always and in all ways. But that's because I believe it and I know it to be true. When I forget, I invite you to do this too. Open your shirt, look down, and say, hello, God. Because that's where God is, as close as your breath. So don't let yourself get so caught up in what the news is saying. Don't let yourself get so caught up in what someone else is calling you about and forwarding you an email on. Stay present to knowing that this has to happen. How do we know? Because it is. We get to decide how it is we are going to be mindfully aware of what it is we do with the circumstances that are now in our lap. Yes? So, I'm going to be bold and brass, breathing into the statement that no, I do not believe that God is causing, has ever caused, will ever cause any virus, corona or not. God does not cause disease. Now everybody breathe. Who causes it then? We do. Humans do. Because I have a confession to make. I have not been washing my hands as often as I should. And I have not been not touching my face. And I have not been drinking as much water as I should. So those are the only times we should on ourselves, is when are we being mindfully aware of what keeps us healthy and whole? Are you breathing and expanding your lungs every day when you wake up? That's been advised. Of course, drinking water has always been advised since I was a child. But I thought, well, I had an iced tea, an extra iced tea. Do I really need to have another glass of water? Yes, have that another glass of water. Wash your hands all the time. I didn't do that. And I would touch my face just because I did. So we get to learn the things again that we learned in kindergarten, right? And we say, everybody together, thank you, Mom. Thank you, kindergarten teachers, for reminding us of what we need as useful skills in our older age, right? Because with age comes wisdom. So I did a little bit of research, and the facts are, if you've ever had a cold or flu, ever, in your whole life, odds are that it was the result of a coronavirus infection, period. Coronaviruses cause colds. We have an epidemic going on, a pandemic is what they're calling it, right? And so we're going to deal with it. But in the meantime, who are you around? If someone sneezes, invite them to sneeze into their elbow. Be mindful of who it is you want to hang out with, not only consciously now, right, but also physically. So we get to make some decisions. So everybody breathe. One of my mentors is Dr. Bruce Lipton, and here's what he says in the Theology of Belief. Stress is responsible for up to 90% of the illnesses, including heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. We could end the service now. We're going to go on. Think about it. Are you allowing your stressful thoughts to manage your life right now? Or are you going, oh, look at me, it's time to wash my hands again. Maybe it's time I have another glass of water. Do I need some Gatorade? I wonder what my neighbor might need, right? There has never been a greater time for us to watch that movie called Mr. Rogers. So Bruce says, when an individual is in stress, the release of stress hormones, known as cortisol, shuts down the immune system to conserve the body's energy for running away from the perceived stressor. What we might call the proverbial saber-toothed tiger, which we would now call corona, yes? There was a joke on Facebook yesterday. I laughed out loud. It said basically March and April are canceled, with the next holiday being, wait for it, Cinco de Mayo, brought to you by Corona. I don't drink beer. But somebody was having a fun day who drinks beer and thought, wow, let's laugh at what it is that is funny. Beer sales for Corona have plummeted because of their name. Think about a time possibly when maybe you believed in something that allowed it then to plummet. Good, bad, or indifferent. We always love when we believe in something that isn't serving us and it goes away, right? And then there's times when we have to look beyond what it is that's being said. I often have to do that as a Unity minister. When people say, what? You're a woman and you're a minister? And I say, thanks for noticing. So let me get back to Bruce and what his story is. He says stress hormones are so effective at compromising the immune system that physicians therapeutically provide recipients of organ transplants with stress hormones to prevent their immune system from rejecting the implant. So how stressful are you? He says the conclusion is clear. The fear of the coronavirus is more deadly than the virus itself. That's why we're having this service today. We will have them every Sunday on Facebook Live. When the building opens back up, we'll have services here. And I'm talking about it with the board that maybe I'll have a midweek blog in addition to our weekly e-news that comes out with lots of information from Unity that I create every Wednesday. If you don't get that, please let us know via email what your email is. If you don't have an email and you want a copy, I'll print one and mail it to you, snail mail, with a real postage stamp, okay? So we have free will. That's what we've been talking about for this whole month of March. And we're in Lent. Let's eliminate negative thinking. So let's let go of, oh, what am I going to do? To, oh, I think I'm going to go and see the birds today. I'm going to go visit the beach. I'm going to read a book. I may go check on my neighbor. Let's see what we can do versus what we have been limited to do. So we get to breathe, we get to have self-awareness, and we get not to blame. I don't blame myself for not having washed my hands up until this point. I'm going to wash my hands more often now. I'm not going to blame myself for touching my face, and then when I'm in the midst of it, I will stop when I'm mindfully aware of not doing it. And I will be mindfully aware of when I have a cold to bring a handkerchief, how's that for aging myself, or some kind of Kleenex with me, and then toss it away. And make sure that I am being mindfully aware of what I'm wiping down when I'm using it. So I have upped my game, so to speak, of self-care. And that's going to benefit not only me, but everybody else I come in contact with. Physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I stay pretty prayed up. I think y'all probably know that. However, I have upped my quiet time this week. And I have written more in my gratitude journal. And I'm practicing non-resistance. I'm practicing acceptance. I'm practicing surrender. And I have glimpses, a few I've had this week of peace. Every time I remember, wait a minute, Therese, where is your source? And my source is within me, and it is of God. So the words we use in Unity are I am. And how I know everything is okay is because God is, therefore I am. And I know I've shared with some of you before, I am. I means intention. A stands for attention. I plus A equals M, which is manifestation. How's that? Intention, attention, manifestation. So what's your intention for the day? How will you go about being who you've come here to be? Where is your attention being placed? And for those of us who have ADHD and ADD and all those other gifts, we need to be mindful and aware. And so every red light that I get on 278 is a time for prayer for me to get centered yet again, so that my intention and attention can manifest what I want. I am. Intention, attention equals manifestation. So I will admit to y'all, this week I've been feeling a little bit responsible for you. And when I heard today that somebody doesn't have email, did I fail as a minister? No, I didn't fail as a minister. And I now have a new awareness that some people don't have email, right? Okay. So we'll figure out how to figure that out. And in the meantime, I'm not your mama. And I know this up here. And I've had to move it down into here so that I take care of myself first, make a late news announcement on Saturday night about no church for Sunday. However, I am a spiritual presence. And my spiritual presence honors your spiritual presence, whether I see you with my physical eyes or not. You and I are both paths to the presence that is. Let me say it again. You and I are both paths to the presence that is. So don't be surprised when people are attracted to you, to your attitude, to the way you live, to your consciousness. Because what I know, as Unity Truth students, we practice presence. We engage our faith. And we fast from panic and fear. Until we don't, and then we do, and then we don't, right? It's life. So remember, let's use presence and faith over panic and fear, if we're going to choose how to use our P and F words. So stay in tune with your heart and breathe into knowing that grief is what you're feeling. Could be called sadness, and it's all right. If you name it, whatever the feeling is, it can then be addressed. So in the Grief Recovery Handbook that I am now a specialist for, I guess is my title, it says grief is the normal and natural reaction to loss. If you have your pen, write this down. Grief is the natural and normal reaction to loss. And I don't get to tell you what is a loss. And that's what we'll be studying as I invite you into study groups about what it is loss causes in our bodies through grief and unmet emotions. Another definition that they use in the handbook, thank you, James Cole, is grief is the conflicting fears caused by the end of or change in a familiar pattern of behavior. Grief is the conflicting feelings caused by the end of or change in a familiar pattern of living. And here we have it today, where our spiritual community is online. That's the first thing that I had to agree to before I would become a specialist. And thank God, Unity taught me it many years ago. And I'll be the first one to tell you, my honesty sometimes allows me to have Tourette's or something where I'm being so honest and real that it might be uncomfortable. So I deal with that. And you get to be real with yourself. What are you feeling? Are you afraid? What is the fear about? Unpack it. Keep going down and down and down. For me, fear comes up when I don't have any control. And so I don't have control over this situation. So I had to be mindfully aware that fear was going to be causing panic in me that would cause stress and hurt my immune system. So I went into the quiet and said, I'm not doing this to myself. I'm going to be mindfully aware of how I breathe, when I wash my hands, not to touch my face. When did I sing last? I actually went for my first bike ride in 20 years yesterday. I'm sure it was a sight for those who were watching, but I did this for myself. How are you taking care of you? Today we're experiencing a change in the familiar way of living all over the world as church goes online. And again, us who are my age and older sometimes think that it has to be about the four walls. And what we know is that's not true. And Unity Spiritual Center of Hilton Head is a perfect example because our space that you're seeing here is in a synagogue because we believe in the many paths to the one God. And so does Congregation Beth Yam, for which we are so grateful. So I'm an ENFJ on the Myers-Briggs. What are you? How will you honor yourself in the way that you take care of yourself? E is for extreme extrovert. So I found myself walking at a great distance around Publix yesterday without buying anything, so I could just be amongst people. Then I realized, ew, I didn't like that energy. Right? So we have choices. How will you choose to take care of you? Write down your feelings. Know that what's happening is real. Be mindful of the news stations you watch and where you get your source of news. I can't promise an update every day from Unity. I will send them out via our e-news, which is Constant Contact. I will call you if you don't get that and give you the updates that we know. Know that a holy shift is happening, as Albert Einstein says, and that grief will also happen. And it's all right, because you're going to remember to go to your heart space. You're going to remember that all is well because God is present, as close as your hand on your heart. And so now I'm going to ask you to move into a time of quiet. Close your outer eyes as you're comfortable. I'll do the same. And even without music, we can be mindfully aware of our breathing and the way in which we honor ourselves. Every breath we take in heals our body. So let's breathe in love and exhale peace. Breathe in love and exhale peace. And know that you are being the master physician of your body and your mind and your soul. And I'm going to read to you a prayer that Paulette Pipe, Reverend Paulette Pipe, has written for the Unity Board. She is what's called the light keeper. So in times of stress, during board meetings and in a convention, Paulette will call us to prayer in a moment. And so let my words be yours. Wherever we are at this moment, the fascinating and beautiful universal Spirit of God connects us heart to heart in prayer. Focusing on disconnecting from external appearances may cause some to become rattled by what we name fear. And so for this brief moment in time, I invite you to train your attention inward to the center of truth where you meet the God of your understanding, where all overwhelm is quelled, squashed, and doubts are quieted. And breathe into the knowing that peace awaits our arrival at the center of our being. Let's breathe in again and allow the peace to arrive at the center of our being, gently encompassing us in its marginless breadth of circumference. So this breadth of circumference that we call God. From this space of peace, we experience ourselves as pure love. Love that transcends limiting and imperfect thoughts. Love that fills empty spaces and kneads the hard places into softness. From this space of peace, the decisions and choices that we make individually and collectively, in astutely fulfilling our leadership responsibilities as your board and as your minister, we know that they are parallel and most conducive to meeting the diverse needs of you, our community, physically here at Unity Spiritual Center, Hilton Head, and all of you who watch us virtually. And we are invited to release the attachment to any specific outcome. Poof, let it be gone. Imagine putting the outcome on a piece of that flash paper and poof, let it go. Instead, we are invited to trust in the divine guidance and divine order to align us with whatever is necessary to fulfill for ourselves and for others our holy assignment with what is keeping us in the mindful presence of all that is keeping us with the highest and the best for ourselves and for all. It is in deep gratitude and with energized faith we release these words into the atmosphere and expectantly witness their swift and complete manifestation. And so let's take a moment of quiet, breathing into this truth, energized with faith and gratitude in the silence. You are invited to go to this quiet place of the Most High as often as you can. To breathe into the presence, allow it to have its way in, through, and as you. And as we bring our time together today to a close, we say thank you to Paulette Pipe, to Kelly Isla, to Bruce Lipton, to Congregation Beth Yam, and most importantly, to each and every one of you. Willing to name the loss that you're feeling, knowing that this too shall pass, and remembering it's not going to be on our time. And that's all right, because God's in charge. And so it is that we pray this in the name and after the nature and under the authority of the living, loving presence that is you and that is me. And so it is. Amen. So finish your cup of coffee, your cup of tea. As you're so moved, and you want to practice your generosity, you can do so on our website at www.unityofhiltonhead.org. Mail always works as well. P.O. Box 1392, Bluffton, South Carolina, 29910. But most importantly, thank you for your presence, for your consciousness, and knowing that we are the change we want to see as we practice non-resistance, surrender, acceptance, and we get to experience peace. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Have a blessed day.